Hi, I'm MacKenzie Dreeszen, and I had the honor of serving as the Armstrong Fellow in Food Consumption at Matthew 25 in Cedar Rapids, Iowa. Matthew 25 is a nonprofit organization that serves the Time Check and Taylor neighborhoods on the west side of Cedar Rapids. These are historically lower income neighborhoods that were heavily impacted by the flood of 2008. They worked through neighborhood revitalization, rebuilding homes after the flood, and they worked to build a sense of community through youth education, home rebuilding, and local food production. My fellowship specifically was with the Cultivate Hope urban farm. The neighborhood in the Time Check and Taylor area is known as a food desert. It's been classified as a food desert by the USDA, which means that they don't have a lot of fresh fruits and vegetables available to people, and there aren't very many grocery stores. The scope of my project was distributing and collecting a USDA fresh fruit and vegetable survey. This survey asked questions like, how often do you eat fresh fruits and vegetables in a week? Where do you buy your fresh fruits and vegetables? What are some ways that we could get you to eat more fresh fruits and vegetables? Then I also worked on applying for funding for the urban farm. I worked on publicizing the urban farm to the Eastern Iowa community, and I worked in developing a youth education program with the urban farm. You can see here, this is a design of the urban farm. It's in downtown Cedar Rapids, and there's several garden beds that grow different types of produce, and then the produce grown on the urban farm is then distributed through CSA shares, which are community supported agriculture, and right now there are over 30 CSA shares. So what happens there is members will pay an annual fee, and then they get a share of the produce every week during the growing season. My role was distributing the fresh fruit and vegetable survey. I distributed this survey at Taylor Elementary, Roosevelt Middle School, and Hy-Vee, which is one of the local grocery stores. I worked on applying for grants. Some of the grants that I applied for were through Miracle Grow, as well as several other gardening grants. I helped publicize the urban farm open house, which that's a picture right there of the open house that we had. We had an open house where we invited people in the neighborhood as well as donors to come and see the designs that were designed by students at Iowa State University for the urban farm, and so that way they could learn about the urban farm and get to ask the students questions about their designs. I wrote press releases for the urban farm, specifically for the urban farm open house, and I worked in developing a summer enrichment and urban farm tours. During the summer, Matthew 25 has a program called Summer Enrichment, where children come for a couple hours a day and they play games and do educational activities. And so part of this program this last summer was Fresh Food Fridays, where kids would get to go to the farm or do different activities related to healthy eating and local foods. We also arranged farm tours. We would give tours of the farm to local elementary and preschool students as well as daycares. As a result of this project, I personally applied for over $9,800 in grants, and one of the significant grants that I applied for was a Miracle Grow grant, and Matthew 25 actually was awarded this grant. I collected over 200 surveys. I obtained neighborhood enthusiasm and support for the urban farm, as was evidenced with the over 30 community supported agriculture shares that were sold. And I helped to establish a program for youth education through summer enrichment and the urban farm tours. During my fellowship, I learned the process of distributing and collecting a survey, and I learned even small details like where is a good place to distribute the survey, or when is a good time. We found that distributing these surveys during concerts or parent-teacher conferences was a good time for schools. And then when I contacted Hy-Vee about distributing surveys there, they told me that it was best to go at the beginning of the month, because we were targeting a lot of low-income families, and a lot of times they do most of their shopping at the beginning of the month when they get their food stamps. I learned about the process of writing and applying for grants. It's kind of similar to applying for scholarships, I thought. I learned how to write press releases. I learned how nonprofit organizations operate. And I learned about local food production and its impact on health in the community. This fellowship also had a huge impact on me. It improved my writing skills by writing these press releases and applying for grants. It strengthened my sense of connection to the Eastern Iowa community. I'm originally from Iowa City, so this was not too far from home for me, but I feel like it really strengthened my connection to this area. It improved my time management skills, as I had to get these grants or applications for grants written by the deadline, or write press releases by a deadline. And it also provided me with a summer volunteer opportunity. This here is a picture of me working on the urban farm this summer with AmeriCorps. I was a Vista volunteer, so I got to help with the manual labor side of the farm of planting and harvesting and watering and supervising volunteers. I would like to thank the donor to this fund, the Cornell Fellows Fund, named in honor of Frank Armstrong, my site mentor, Matt Mayer, who's here tonight, my faculty member, Professor Jennifer Feigenbaum, as well as the entire staff of Matthew 25.